People don't care nothing about you being a good person. It's just all about hatred. You know what I'm saying? Hatred for you. You know, the natural hatred. People say all the time. They'll say, "Well, you know, people just don't trust anybody, and it's hard for people to trust people, and you know, things of that nature and stuff like that." And people just don't want to get involved. Yeah, that's understandable to a degree, but some people can know that you are a good individual person, and they just don't care nothing about. People don't respect none of that no more. You know, they don't respect that no more. They just they can know you because think about it. I know some people. Look, and y'all do too. Y'all know some people y'all was raised up with, and y'all get old, and them people don't even act like y'all don't even exist. I know you do. So don't try to act like, well, you know, people. Yeah, yeah, people can damage people. I'm not trying to take from that. You know what I mean? Because I did, you know, one if somebody burned my bridge one time, I'm not gonna. You think I'm gonna go back and get bit a second time? And you ain't doing that. They don't care. You can look at them. You look at people nowadays. They be ready to cut you up. You can't even look at them. The minute you look at them, they ready to do something to you, do some harm to you. Now we walk around the neighborhood, even though you just being friendly with people, or you just being friendly, they'll turn around and take you, kill you for looking at them. Yeah. Some people will. Some people kill you just for look. Want to do something to you just for looking at them. Yep. It's like it done grown cold, man. And you know it's everywhere. Yeah, yeah, of course. You know, and you can't even. People tell you like somebody told me in my comments, say people don't. You can't go up to people's houses and well, I mean, for if you look at a person like me, when you know you clearly can see that I'm just gonna go along with the record. A so-called black man, you can clearly see that. You can look at me and tell I'm not a Euro. When I turn my camera on and people click on to this video, especially if they are Esau, when they click on my video, people always walk around and they say, "I don't see color. I don't see this, and I don't see that." Well, guess what? That's bullshit, and Esau knows bullshit too. They all know it is. Yeah, they all know it's book BS. People say they don't see color. Yes, they do. When you look at a lot of our people, if you look at a lot of our people, a lot of our people are trained to be racist, just like Esau. Yeah, a lot of our people are trained. They prejudice against each other too. They've been trained to be just as prejudiced too. But it's not saying that they are the natural enemy. They are trained to be the enemy. And some of our people are so far gone until it ain't no coming back, no reviving, no recovering. Our people are just so far damaged and so far gone and stuff like that until it ain't really, they too far gone and they damaged, you know, for good, you know. But people thinking, you know, I just wake up every day and get on my camera and want to complain and all. No, it's just that it's real life you're dealing with, you know. It is, man. We living in and you know, don't get me wrong. It's not the world. It's not the grounds. Grounds ain't gonna do you nothing. It ain't even the birds or nothing like that. It's the decisions and the choices that we choose to make when it comes to uh, Esau and their privileges and stuff. Our people, if they want some of what they got to adapt to their privileges. They got to adapt to their culture. That's why a lot of our people then sold out into Esau race. They done sold out, and people just don't. They don't give a damn no more, man. They don't. I mean, of course, it always have been like that, but it's just it done gotten as time get older, it gets worse, worse, worse. And I can see the fulfillment of the Bible where it says the love of many shall wax cold. I see that. I've been saw it. And you can see that you definitely can tell that that word is true. People sit around all day and say, well, the Bible was written by man and this and that and the third, but they speak lies. But how come you see everything in it? It's still coming to pass. It's coming to reality to this day. You know, yeah, it's still coming to pass even to this day. So you can sit there and deny and say all you want, or whoever it is, but when you come out here in reality, you ain't gonna be able to argue with that reality. That reality is real out here. You know? Yeah, man. Oh man, people don't care that you can't. You become people's enemy just by looking at them. Time you look at them, like nowadays, they hope you look at them so they can be damn you almost ready to blow you away for looking at them and stuff. You become their enemy if you ask them for an honest living. Hey, I'm trying to make an honest living. Like what, nigga? If you don't get away from here talking about an honest living, man, nigga, you better. They may not come out and just tell you like that, but their actions is actually telling you that that's what they're all about. Their actions is saying that. Yeah. That's what their actions are saying. Yeah, man. People don't care nothing about nobody no more. Esau sure enough don't care nothing about none of us, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. No, they don't care. They want to point out to me we all are equal. Man, please, we don't even know what the hell equal is. That's been a bullshit lie that's been sold to us for decades before I was born into the world. I'm 48 and to be 49. And that's a bullshit lie. And Esau know it. They just want to sell it to you. They don't care whether you believe it or not. They just gonna throw it out there. And if you choose to believe it, even though in their mind they know it's bullshit, they ain't gonna tell you nothing. They like to say it's right there. The truth is right there. But if you don't have sense enough to see it for yourself, we not gonna tell you, dumbass. That's how they looking at it. And look how and you know what? Right here. This is what you call Stockholm Syndrome. Like if I walked over there and told them people that they was from Judah or something like that, they'll see me as a threat if I walk over there and tell them they from the tribe of Judah and stuff like that. They'll label you as a threat and everything else, saying you trespassing or any damn thing. And all you doing is you trying to open up your people's eyes to their nationality and tell them who they are. But you can tell a lot of our people is suffering from Stockholm Syndrome. It's because they going to the very people. Matter of fact, let me see if I can find some scriptures in the Bible on that. Hold on, wait a minute. I got my apocrypha and all that with me. Hold on. Let's do this right quick. I'm still working on the words in this book right here. It's called Babylon Temple of Two. Yeah, I'm still working on a lot of the words and stuff like that. But let's look at this and let's see if I can understand a lot of this here. Because we have to understand that we are the chosen people, the original black race. Originally, all Hamites and Shemites. Now, Shemites are the Hebrews. Our Shemites were black. Abraham was a black Shemite and a descendant of Shem. The name of Abraham was Abram before he was referred to as Abraham. The three Hebrew patriarchs were Abraham's, Isaac, and Jacob. This Jacob begot 12 sons, who later fathered the 12 tribes of Israel. Abraham was the father not only of the Hebrew Israelite nation, but also of the Arab nation. See, and the Arabs came out of Ishmael. Y'all know that, don't you? It says, now the mother and grandmother of the Arabian nation were black Hamites. Egyptians, women's. Now you have to understand now, black. The word black is just a color. So you got Edomites. Esau even got some of his people that are dark skinned. So you don't have to, just because you're a dark skinned person doesn't make you a so-called black person, doesn't make you whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's all about lineage. You see what I'm saying? Now, as you go on and you read in this book, it said now the mother and the grandmother of the Arabian nations were black Hamite Egyptian women, and the father of the uh, Arabian nation were Abraham and Ishmael. Black Shemites. At a certain time, there were hard feelings between Sarah and Abraham's wife, and Hagar, Sarah's maid servant. So Hagar fled from Abraham's house and dwelt in the wilderness of the Japhites. And the Jewish historian wrote that Ishmael married an Egyptian woman. Ishmael married an Egyptian woman. As a result, he begot 12 sons of Nebijah and Kedar and Abiel and Mibsam and Mishmael, Dumath, Masser, Hadar, Timniah, Jeter, and Naphish, and Kidemath. These 12 sons became the 12 tribes, of and inhabited the region from the Euphrates to the Red Sea in the Arabian Peninsula. This country is known today as the Arabians. To those who do not believe that the ancient Arabians were black and the Arabians were black. Now, see, now the Arabs. You got a lot of them Arabs that are black, but they don't walk around calling themselves a color in a goddamn like crayon box or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? Instead of me just talking, let me just prove some stuff today. All right, this country is known today as Arabian. To those who do not believe that the ancient Arabians were black, I would like to make one point crystal clear. If your mother and grandmother were black, I am positive that you would have many color futures. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and the 12 tribes of Israel. All right. It says we're all black people. Thus I shall prove to you by a gradual method. After Joseph was sold down into Egypt as a slave, we find in the 42nd chapter of Genesis that he has been became the viceroy viceroy of Egypt. Joseph's 10 brothers came unto Egypt. Egypt is in Africa. That's right. To buy corn. All right. I am from the tribe of Judah. All praises, brother. I am Joseph. All praises. To buy corn because a famine was in the land. All newcomers who came unto Egypt had to buy corn from Joseph. But when Joseph's 10 brothers came to Africa, they did not recognize him. They did not recognize him because Joseph had grew up and the Egyptians were a black people. See, and this is another thing too, people. We have to understand that it's not really about color because they mistake Joseph for an Egyptian. They really did. They mistake Joseph for an Egyptian. You know, Joseph probably looked like a Hamite or whatever. Just like you can't look at people and look at them and say, "Oh, that's an Edomite because they hairy and they this and that, or they red or they this and that." No, it's not about skin color. It's about lineage. You know what I'm saying? So even Paul. If you look at the New Testament in the Apostle Paul in Acts chapter 21 and 37, 38, something like that, it says that, or thou that they asked Paul, the Apostle Paul, are you an Egyptian? Because the Apostle Paul was up under the Romans customs and the Egyptians. They mistaked him for an Egyptian. That's crazy. But when Joseph's 10 brothers came to, okay, I read that. They did not recognize him because he had grew up in the Egyptians were a black people like the sons of Jacob. Jacob's 10 sons considered Joseph to be another black Egyptian. They considered, see that? We know this to be true because the 10 brothers returned and reported to their father, the man who is of the Lord of the land spoke roughly to us. That's the curse that's on my people. You know, Joseph was speaking roughly to the people because Joseph had learned the ways and the customs of the Egyptians. You see what I'm saying? Furthermore, if Joseph had been white, he would have aroused the curiosity of his brothers very rapidly. We really do not need any more proof that the Israelites were black. For the sake of argument, I will offer it. In many places in the Bible, we find the son of Joseph and the later Israelites taken by black Canaanite women for a wife. If the ancient, now see, this is where all the mixes, see, this is where Israel went off and they started intermingling with those black Canaanites. And this is the reason why a lot of our people look a little different. You may find some of us a little lighter skin, fair skin, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? This is the reason why you got to ask people. That's probably why they ask people who their nationality is. Israelites were not originally black. They would have inter. Let's read. In many places in the Bible, we find that the Joseph and the later Israelites were taken by black Canaanite women for why? If the Israelites were not originally black, they would be after the intermingling with the black Canaanite men and women. So this is the reason why they started. I think this is how the name black started to develop. When the king Pharaoh of Egypt promulgated and edited to cast all the Hebrew male babies into the Nile River, Miriam and her mother hid the baby Moses in a basket alongside the river. Meanwhile, Pharaoh's daughter came down to the Nile to wash herself, and she saw the basket and the baby Moses. Pharaoh's daughter knew that the baby was a Hebrew. He knew that the baby was a Hebrew, and she adopted him. If Moses had been a white baby, it would have been difficult to conceal him from her father's anger. In the period of Moses, and the black Egyptians enslaved black Jews. See that? The black Egyptians, those people enslaved the black Jews. So if you look in Exodus 1, you see where they made the children of Israel to serve with rigor, man. Yeah. All right now. Yeah, it's a good brother down there. Another point to prove that the Jews were black is the leprosy law. See that? The leprosy laws written in the 19th chapter of Leviticus and explain the second chapter of this book. The strongest and most amazing phenomenon concerning biblical leprosy was that the skin turned white. These laws of leprosy were given to the nation of Israel, and they could not apply to a white nation. That's true. Herbert, Herbert Woodard wrote in his book, "It began in Babel. All indication points to the fact that Asia was the crater of the black race. It is written in the book of Daniel, chapter 7 and verse 9. And I beheld until the thrones were cast down, and the ancient of days did set, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like pure wool, and his throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire." The meaning of this verse is as follows: I beheld until the thrones were cast down, the thrones were placed down and erected, and the ancient of days did sit. The ancient of days would be God the Father. the God of the universe is the Ancient of Days, who sat on the throne, and the hair of his head like pure wool. Wool is something which is real thick. Daniel saw in the upper enter though I don't even know how to even say that. It looked like some kind of Greek word that's why I highlighted it. Hold on. I'm looking at anthropomorphia or something like that. I don't know. From the form of God, judges the nation in the appearance of a vulnerable man who woolly hair like a black man, Daniel the prophet, and the people in his environment. The Babylonians must have had a woolly the Babylonians must have had woolly hair from him to dream of God having woolly hair. Many Israelites in the biblical times intermarried with the Canaanite Hamite tribes. If the Jews were not black, the Israelites became much darker of a surety after the intermingling. That's true. That's why they say the Israelites became blacker or darker because of the intermingling with the Israelites. Just like if you take a so-called black man, the original Israelite man, and he go with an African woman, right? With a Hamite woman. That child will come out probably looking nothing like the father at all. You see what I'm saying? It may look like a black Hamite. The child may look like a black Hamite, but uh, because the reason why it's looking like that is because of the intermingling and stuff like that. You see what I'm saying? And that's why this is the reason why you can't tell the difference from an Israelite from a so-called Israelite from a person from a different nation. You gonna know by the spirit. You know. I'm gonna skip that. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna see if I can go to something. Very. Hold on. It is obvious, I'm on page 838. It is obvious that the Queen of Sheba had many more one name because she is known to the Ethiopians by the name Magadah. Nevertheless, it is not strange that she had more than one name. The Ethiopian story of Makeda, the Queen of Sheba, is transmitted to us from the Abyssinians of Thebes. This important document is known as the Kebra Nais, or honor of the kings. The Ethiopians account released the in, internary of the Queen of Ethiopia to meet King Solomon in Jerusalem. She came with a great train and reunion of the official servants and abundance of wealth. While she was at Jerusalem, she became in, infatuated infatuated with the king Solomon because of the organization of his affairs, his wealth, his wisdom, his understanding, and physical appearance. Moreover, the story relates that King Solomon fathered a child by the queen of Ethiopia. This child was called David or Menlek I. The queen returned to Sheba or of Sabia with Menlek I after Menlek had returned in Ethiopia for some years. His mother sent him to King Solomon to be educated, and Menlek was crowned king of Ethiopia in Jerusalem. At that time, he accepted the name David. Many experts in the law of Moses, especially one form each tribe and accompanied him to Ethiopia in order to be judged in his kingdom. From these experts and the present Ur 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 Urburst and our supreme judge, three of whom always administer to the king, are said to be descended in the company of this re- retaining came also They got some words up in here. They got one called Zadok. Oh, okay, but I'm gonna take time and go over those. You know what I'm saying? But they got a lot of stuff in here, man. You out here in Texas? No, I'm in Louisiana. Yeah. So we finally understood there the reason why the Egyptian mythology in the Egyptian phenomena pantheon, there were many gods. The most famous gods were Ashtar, Is, and Hours. These gods formed a trade. The principal gods were worshipped in a trend. Trend. The number of three apparently had a mystical importance to the Egyptians. Ours was the son of the sun god Oysters and the moon goddess at Isher. The train was very common in the ancient world, and it had came down to our day. Father Oysters was the god of the Nile, and our Ishers represented the god of the earth. So they got different gods, man. But the main part, I'm gonna come back and understand that a little bit later. But black civilization in Africa and all that, they got a lot of stuff in here about Ramesses, Kush and Ethiopian and all that type of stuff. Yeah. Now it said that Japhet used to be a white man. I mean, a black man, but God changed him to white. So when the Hebrews intermingled with those Japhite women's and stuff like that, because of the curse, even though they still Israelites, even though he was a black man, a so-called black man, uh, the Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob's sons, and they met intermingled with these other people. The curse that they would have to suffer is that God would make all your children become so-called white offspring, or they'll be lighter. You see what I'm saying? And those things too is part of the curses. Yeah. So I'm gonna come. I'll come back to that. I have to set up me something and read something. I didn't want to go off and try to read something and not be able to break it down or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But I like reading when it comes to the Most High Word, man, and learning who you are according to the Bible and stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's a great thing. You know, to an extent, I have a zeal too, but I want to make sure I understand what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Understand everything. So instead of me just getting on here just talking, I wanted to like read something because you know the Israelites started mingling with them black Canaanite women, and that's how come a lot of our people starting to look like Hamites or whatever because our people intermingle with those people, and that's why we that a lot of our people look a little bit different because they started mingling with the enemies and things of that nature. You know, mingling with the other nations, and the Most High told us to don't intermingle with the people outside of our tribes and stuff like that. You see what I'm saying? Because it brings on a curse. Just like being an Israelite. Just imagine producing a child, and like he looks like he a so-called um, another so-called white offspring or whatever. But even though the child still be an Israelite, it's just that uh, because of the curses and stuff that our forefathers went off and started like worshiping the other nations and started intermingling, and that's the problem with our people today. They mingle with the other nations and stuff like that, and they think that you're supposed to do that when the Most High said we're not supposed to be doing that. We're not supposed to be intermingling with the other nations and stuff. They had a guy I'm friends with on Facebook. I don't know what he listened to my work and stuff like that, and my videos and stuff, and the breakdowns to the best of my ability. And I'm saying to myself, I don't know if he really understands it. I don't know if I need to break it to him a little more, or whatever. But he said he loved Esau, and I took a picture with Esau and all this. I'm like, okay, I know that brother's insane. Or either they suffer from what you call Stockholm syndrome. Stockholm syndrome is a person who be kidnapped by their captors, and they develop this mindset is they feel obligated is to protect and love these same people that abused them and raped them and did all kind of stuff to them. So that's one of the biblical definitions of a person who is enslaved by another nation. They believe, they convince themselves that uh, they protecting the same people that killed, raped, robbed, and murdered their people, and stuff like that. And you start to develop a love for those same people that have kept you captive for over 20 years or 10 years. You see what I'm saying? So that's part of what Stockholm syndrome is. You start you protecting your captors and your abusers by all means. You know how a woman be in an abusive relationship with somebody, and when she is in an abusive relationship with somebody, and you come and you try to protect her from that, she started trying to do something to you, trying to take up for that same person. You take up for her, and the same man that was beating her a couple of days ago, she's back up under this man and under this man's lap the next day, and you're gonna get mad if you say something bad about it. You know what I'm saying? That's like taking up for somebody and they wrong too. You know how people take up that. That's another thing that kind of proves Stockholm syndrome too. It's like when you know that that person ain't doing right, unjust in everything that they're doing, and then all of a sudden you still try to take up for them, even when it's unnecessary too. You know what I mean? And knowing that these people done you wrong and they abuse you their whole life. So that's part of what it. So I looked at the brother as something like that. You know what I'm saying? We so far gone and we're so far into Stockholm syndrome until we believe by all cause that it's nothing wrong with trying to defend and protect and love your oppressors. The same people who, remember now, you talking about the same people that rape, rob, murder, and hang you from trees and do all that kind of stuff. Even to this day, in certain parts of the world, it's still going on. Yeah. So I'm gonna see y'all later, man. We're gonna come back and we're gonna talk a little bit more about this. And people don't care about you being a good person. That's true. Let's see, we were good people doing slavery. You know what I'm saying? A lot of our people was bought over here on slave ships. They didn't deserve to be bought over here on those slave ships and all of that from their land, homeland, and things of that nature. But it happened. You know what I'm saying? And then a lot of people, they look around and say, well, they got some good people. All people are not like this. Not every uh, all people are not. They'll say all Caucasian people are not bad. Just like, okay, they use that analogy, but at the same time, um, like me, I ain't did nothing wrong, right? To be out here struggling and trying to look for work and look for this and that and the third, and people telling me, well, you got to be careful going around people, certain people's houses and stuff. Yeah, that's because I'm a so-called black man. I say, I know I'm not really black. I'm just saying it just for the sake of context. You see what I'm saying? That's part of the consequences of whatever. You see what I'm saying? And I forgot what I was saying, but it'll come back to me. But what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna end this vlog, and I'm gonna come back and we're gonna talk a little bit more later on. All right.